Be seated, please.
Good morning, church. It is a joy to be with you. As in the announcements, there's been a number of people with sick and reversals and some critical and such as that. And so it got me thinking about how would I feel, how would we feel if you turn the corner and the closest in life to you, their life is taken, or the doctor tells you, you got 3 weeks or whatever it is. And I thought about that, and I thought, how would I want to be? Now, I don't actually know how I will be, but I know how I want to be. I want to be excited from the standpoint, today is the day that the Lord has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. Psalm 118, verse 22 and verse 24. The reason I mention that is because really that's part of a messianic psalm. When he said this is the day, he's talking about the day, the period of time when Jesus was the cornerstone rejected by the builders. That is, we are Christians today is because of what Jesus did then. And so I've tried for years and decades to see if I can get my mind to have the right attitude. When that diagnosis, that corner comes, my attitude is, it has been a great run. It has been a great life. And I want you truly to know, you are my family. And so as I think about this lesson, I think about the individuals that are in precarious positions in life. Many times I've thought about David as he's talking to Jonathan and dealing with Jonathan's insane father that's trying to kill him. He just turns the corner and I'm playing music and the guy tries to run me through with a spear. The guy is mentally ill. And David says, 1 Samuel 20 verse 3, there is hardly a step between me and death. That's what got me thinking about this morning's lesson. Because, I know me and Tom Burrell, we're going to live to be 190. He said, Tom, how many of your relatives currently living are 190? Yeah, I don't have any. And so, what about you, Paul? I don't know, but I think about it. In Genesis 27:2, Isaac said, I am old, and I do not know the day of my death. The reality is nobody knows. In fact, I've baptized lots of people in 50 years. One of the first families was a family in Sumner, and Pam Rogers Farrar was among the very first that I ever baptized. And as she went along, she got diagnosed with cancer and said, whatever it was, you've got 3 weeks. She lived 9 years. And a doctor said, look, you pick up a person's foot, there's no date written on the bottom. You can't actually know, but we all kind of think somewhere way off in the future. Maybe. But it's true for everybody. Nobody really knows. And so I've known when we were years and years ago, here's a 5-year-old beautiful little girl, serious-minded, going in and going to have a heart operation, and the 5-year-old girl is comforting the mother as the little 5-year-old is going into surgery. And she said, Mom, it'll be all right. She died on the operating table. The father is the one, when we're devastated. How could this be? We're walking in the parking lot. I don't even know, what do you say to a young father that just lost his 5-year-old daughter? I said, I can't imagine how much pain you're going through. He said to me, Paul, all things work together for good. It's like she always knew that she was destined for a better world. Huh? And still I say that and I get chills. A 15-year-old girl, cancer, and she dies. But that's the one, and this was Wielander's daughter. When the nurses asked, are you angry at God? And do you ever ask why me? And she said, no. She said, I say, why not me? Well, you know, Lynn, I can't wrap my mind around that. The attitude is spectacular. A 21-year-old male that I baptized, Lee C., coming home with friends from watching a movie, a drunk driver on the wrong side of the freeway, comes over rise, kills them all. Nobody gets up in the morning and thinks, virtually nobody, this is my last day. I got 11 things to do. I got to go to 7-Eleven, get gas. Nobody thinks that way. 28-year-old pregnant mom, sepsis, dies, can't save the baby. I knew them. Wow. 32-year-old father dies on the loading dock. Seemed to be in fine health. Heart attack. Mature mom, this is in Sandpoint, Idaho. I didn't baptize this lady, but I knew her since just a little girl, firstborn. Mature mom at this point, medical realm, and going down concrete stairs, arms full, she slips, hits her head on the concrete, and claims her life. So that comes to me. When I first came to the West Campus congregation, which is kind of the extension of us, the whole group just moved here to Tacoma, one of the guys, Terry Palmer, said, Paul, how long will you guarantee staying with us? I said, 10 years. I thought about, man, I just feel spectacularly healthy. What can I guarantee you? I thought, I'm good for 15 minutes. I said, well, Paul, why do you say that? Because I just see everybody else, they turn a corner, get hit by a taxi. None of us know, and I always think, yep, somewhere out there in the future. But nobody knows that. Why are you starting a lesson with that kind of gravity? Because I want us to have the attitude, this is the day the Lord has made. I'll rejoice and be glad in it. Whatever happens, I want to honor God, love believers, and have that positive attitude. So as I think about that kind of thing, I thought about, well, what's going on in the world? And I went to get yesterday's, the most recent that I can, the current, and of course it's not exactly 8 billion, there's some numbers after that, but in round figures there's 8 billion people on earth today. Net population growth, that is all the births minus all the deaths, just this last year, world population growth has increased by 69 million, which tells us for the foreseeable future, there's lots of more people to buy whatever people want to sell. Why? Because when we think about this, today there were, I rounded it, 300,000 births worldwide and 150,000 deaths, which means we're doubling, just the births versus the deaths. But having said that, how many people know the day they're going to die precisely? I thought, well, a person going to attempt suicide would. Nope. Even suicides don't really know. They don't always work. In fact, tragically, when I was preaching in Sumner and I got a call from somebody, would I go to actually the psychiatric unit in, I think it was Good Sam, here, because somebody I didn't know, they just thought, here's, maybe it can be an encouragement. 21-year-old decided to end their life by gunshot. They didn't do a good job. And they ended up a quadriplegic. I said, well, yeah, but people scheduled for execution. No, that can be stayed. The equipment, all kinds of stuff. The reality is, we never know. We never know. So, Paul, what do you want your attitude to be? I hope it is. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So that got me thinking about, if this Sunday is my last day, what would I want to do? I would hope. I want to train my mind. I want to work on myself to be excited for today is the day. And I thought about that. And one quote I like, today is the day which we never had before, this day, and which we'll never have again. So think about how you want to use today. Well, I thought about that, and I thought, today, if it's my last day, where would I want to be? I said, I know where I want to be. I want to be right here. Well, what do you want to do? If I had the strength and the capacity, I'd want to be doing just what I'm doing now, sharing God's word and good insights. Yeah, Paul, you like to hunt. Would you rather be hunting? Nope. You like to fish, salmon, pull them in? Nope. How about laying on a beach? Well, no, it's raining. But somewhere, I don't care if it's Tahiti. I don't want to be. That's good. I don't want to be there today. You love extreme roller coasters. How about that? That's fine to do, but not today. Because this is the day the Lord has made. I want to rejoice and be glad in it. In Psalm 122 and verse 1, David said, I was glad when they said to me, let us go up to the house of the Lord. My attitude is being with God, being with family, being with loved ones. That's what I want to do today. That other stuff pales in comparison to the joy of being together. I'd want to be doing exactly what I'm doing and hearing God's people sing. Because think about that. If our attitude is right, we just graduate. The next day is graduation day. And if we have that attitude, really when somebody dies, we grieve because we are missing them. Their attitude can be, I'm going home, and I'll wait for you there by the big tree, the tree of life. I want to be excited for today is the day. And if today was my last day, I'd want to use all my energy. Not 30% of it, not 49%, not 68%. All I have and not waste any. Paul, is that how you always feel? Yeah. Hey, whatever we're going to do, let's have fun about doing it. Sing with enthusiasm, work or play or whatever that is. Just do it 110%. It may be on that last day, I don't have any energy. I can smile and wave, and that's okay too. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 10 said, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For there's no activity or planning or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol where you're going. Well, I was planning to, I was hoping to. Well, do it today. Use that, say, if today's my last day, what would I like to do? Who would I like to talk to? What kind of positive thoughts would I like to display? And parallel to that, Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, do your work heartily as for the Lord. That caught my attention. I thought I want to look at that. And that is ek suke. Suke is for soul or your inside person. And ek, it proceeds out from the inside of you. From your very being. Whatever you're doing, man, you're all in. You are committed. And that's what God asks for us in worship and relationship and loving him with all your heart and soul and mind. If today was my last day, I want to tell others I love them. In Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives. In Titus 2 and verse 4, have the older women instruct the younger women to love their husbands, love their children. Sometimes women say, oh, man, I'm so disgusted. I'm done. I'm hitting the road, Jack. And so people think, well, I don't want to give them a big head. But think about telling your children how proud you are of them when they do well. How much you love them all the time. Tell your friends how much they mean to you. Well, they know. I smile and wave to them. Well, think about Romans 12 and verse 10. Paul said, be devoted to one another in brotherly love. And so I think about that. And Christians, consider, tell the people you love and that they know, they've heard from you that you love them. You're proud of them and have confidence in them. Because you think about, the customer service reps on the phone, and Glenn and I laugh at this. It used to be like you go up to the speaker at a McDonald's or some fast food place, and the speaker's not working very good. French fries. You can't understand it. You call customer service for your computer and you're off in some foreign country and you can barely understand the people. But the reality is they're doing the best they can. They're trying to make a couple of dollars to feed their children or go to college or whatever it is. And they get very little of, you're doing a good job. Thanks for helping me. Think about doing that for others. Almost everywhere I go, if I get a chance to talk to people, and they do a lovely job. I was in Lowe's hardware store just this past weekend. I was needing X and Y, and this sales, I said, can I help you? And there wasn't many people around. I said, yes. What I'm looking for is, well, let's look it up on the computer. Well, we don't actually have it there. And she just asked me, she said, what kind of work you do? And what I like to do, because I want to initiate a little conversation, you do it a different way. People think of me as a pastor, which is really the technical term for elder, and that's not the position I now hold, but it was. And that's how they think of me. And so I'm going to use their term. And I said, well, I'm a pastor. Well, they're always surprised. Because I tell them, I am, and I did for her, I said, you get 3 guesses, because I don't look like what I usually do. Because here I am, in a black work vest, and so I just don't look like, the type they'd expect. And so they'll say different things. Well, I think you're an attorney. Are you a cop? One lady one time said, are you a spy? No, I'm not a spy. I said, if I was, would I tell you? Anyhow, you start a little conversation, and I tell a little bit about my background, and then she, just the other night, says, wow, she said, I lost my husband a year ago on Thanksgiving. Wow. So now she's sharing her story. And I said, can I ask what happened? She said, well, he had diabetes, and there was this, and then this medical procedure, and they gave the wrong medicine, and they couldn't reverse it. I said, wow. I said, I am so sorry. She says, thank you. And I always carry some of our church cards in my wallet. And what I do repeatedly, I said, here's my card. My personal phone is on it. My personal email. You won't call that number and get the church secretary. If you run out of gas, let me know. What I'm trying to do is build a little relationship. And she said, wow, well, where is it? Well, here's where we are. I'm 38. And I said, look, if you're out, think about 10 o'clock in the morning. Come. Our kind of church motto is come and be treated like family. And so what you're doing is you're making contact with people. You're telling people that you appreciate them. Think about telling one another. You say, I appreciate your consistency, your love, your compassion for others, your hard work, or whatever it happens to be. God says, Jeremiah 31, verse 3, I have loved you with an everlasting love. If you love your kids, when did it start? Well, after we got past the teens, it was okay. No, it started in infancy. It started prenatal. You just always love them. And you tell your kids you love them. They need to hear that through the years. And others do as well. Jesus said to the apostles, love one another as I have loved you. So that kind of ups the scale in our, well, yeah, I think he's all right. Or, no, I am so proud of you. I am so thankful that you're here. I'd do anything that I can to help. And think what Paul himself did to Corinth, that initially had all kinds of problems. As they solved it and applied God's solutions, in 2 Corinthians 7 and in verse 4, Paul said, great is my confidence in you all. They needed to hear that. They needed to hear, you're doing a good job. And I am so proud of you for doing that. But the reality is, he told that to the Philippians. He called them his beloved in Philippians 2:12. As did he of Tychicus, his beloved, Ephesians 6:21. Luke in Colossians 4, Timothy in 1 Timothy 1, Philemon in Philemon 1:1, the Romans in Romans 16. Over and over and over, he told people, you mean so much to me. I'll just say, and I'm glad you're here. People need to hear that. And so think about that. If today is my last day, I'd want to tell others that I love them. I hope you do too. And so I think about it. If today were my last day, I'd want to encourage others in Christ. In 1 Thessalonians 5:21, Paul said to the believers there, who had undergone a lot of persecution as babes in Christ, he said, encourage one another and build up one another just as you are doing. In Hebrews chapter 10 and in verse 23, he says, stimulate one another to love and good works. And that's what we do. The benefit of doing a broadcast is people can catch the main parts of this worship service at home when they can't make it here. The downside is when you're at home, you can't encourage anybody. It's just nice, but you can't be that blessing to others. But if you're sick and in excruciating pain, then you wouldn't be able to be here because of those things. And so what do you tell people? Well, it depends on their circumstances. But the scriptures, these are just a handful of scriptures we use all the time. But people need to hear them. Isaiah 40:31, the Lord will renew their strength, those that wait on the Lord. They will soar on wings like eagles. They'll run and not get weary. They'll walk and not faint. That is, you're telling people, keep on. You're doing a good job. I am so proud of what you're doing. Philippians 4:13 that we all cherish. You tell them, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Because people feel like, I don't know if I can do that anymore. I'm running on empty. I think my tank's about to drain out. I said, no. God will give you that additional momentum to do whatever he wants you to do. And then Romans 8:28, all things work together for good to those that love God, to those that are called according to his purpose. But what else would you say to them? Besides not only God's going to bless you and he loves you, that you have an opportunity to grow. For example, in 2 Peter 1:5-8, add to your faith virtue, your virtue knowledge, knowledge perseverance, perseverance self-control, and so forth. So I'd want my personal family, I'd say, look, I love you, I got confidence, keep on growing. You're doing a good job. Raise your babies in the faith. Help them be all God would have them to be. And you just be warriors. Revelation 2 and verse 10, be faithful unto death. It doesn't mean till I just kind of stumbled over the finish line. It means even if they persecute me and execute me, I will be faithful regardless of the consequences. In Galatians 6 and in verse 9, be not weary in well-doing or doing good. People say, hey, I'm so tired of this and that. Well, you got opportunity to bless others. In fact, I talked to a handful of the brothers just this past week. We have a lady kind of diagonally across the street from us, and she's not a member here, and we've helped her just individually before. She watches over our church building. If the alarm is going off and nobody is here to hear it, she'll call like Rebecca Vaughn, our church secretary. Early this last week, I get a note from Rebecca, and I can't recall the sequence how it happened, but the particulars are this: we have a little water spigot off in the southeast corner of our building, the back of the building, and like homeless people do, they need some water, and so sometimes they have 5-gallon buckets. I don't know what this person had. And so our neighbor will try to watch over our building for us, and somebody is over there, and she hollers at him, he hollers back at her, and leaves the spigot going full bore, 100%. And so both myself and Ron got contacted. I was able to respond first. And so came inside, turned the water off, got the spigot taken care of. Now, Paul, why do you mention that? Because somebody mentions, well, what could we help her out? They are very challenged in their finances. And so some of the guys said, I'll toss in some money. And so after services, Rebecca Vaughn can be in the foyer. And if you say, here's a couple dollars for that gal across the street, I want to do good. It'll just be, they have sons and tight finances. And so maybe that's something that you would like to do. In Nehemiah chapter 8 and verse 10, the joy of the Lord is your strength. See, our attitude isn't, oh, okay, I got to come to church or old Paul's going to be after me. We come in here because we're honoring God. We get to encourage one another. We get to sing with enthusiasm. And so it's not what we got to do, it's what we get to do. And so think about if this was our last day together. I'd want us to have a joyful attitude. Man, it has been such a good run. It's been such a good life in all the particulars. If today was my last day, I'd like a slice of cherry pie. He said, Paul, you serious? I'm serious. In Ecclesiastes 2:24, there is nothing better for a man than to eat and drink and tell himself his labor is good. When's the last time you have a cherry pie? I don't know. It seems like decades. It's not been done. It just seems like forever. Why? Because, well, I know I need to be this slim, trim, svelte guy. Well, I'm not. But I thought, that's good. But if it's my last day, is that what you want? Yep, that's what I like. 1 Timothy 6:17. God has given us richly all things to enjoy. And I'll include cherry pie in that list of all things to enjoy. Ecclesiastes 3:14. Moreover, that every man who eats and drinks sees good in all his labor, it's the gift of God. Enjoy life. Enjoy the particulars. Well, Paul, yeah, but I think we should do that every day. My thought is, if it's truly your last day, you don't have to worry about gaining a pound, right? Oh, my cholesterol went up a point. Who cares? It's the last day. But don't use that as an excuse for having a poor diet every day, right? Ephesians 4:25, speaking the truth in love. This may not be my last day, and I'm trying not to contribute and make it my last day. In fact, the gal in Lowe's says, well, what do you attribute your good health to? I said, well, there's a realm of genetics. You know, sometimes, boy, your whole genetic markers is a challenge. In my family, it tends to be pretty good. But I said, the other thing is, you quit doing the things that are really crazy and tend to get you killed right away. You try to exercise reasonably, get reasonable sleep, reasonable exercise. You just do good things. And so, but if it was my last day, one of the good things I would do would be have a slice of cherry pie. I want to be excited, for today is the day. And if it was my last days, I'd want to have my financial affairs reasonably in order. Isaiah 38:1 is when Isaiah told Hezekiah, set your house in order, for you shall die and not live. But the reality is that's true for all of us, that's going to happen. There's just, we don't know the date. I'd want my debts paid, if any exist. Romans 13 and verse 8 says, owe no man anything except to love one another. I need to love you more. And so that's a debt we never get done paying. The reality is I'd like to leave some inheritance if anything is available. In Proverbs 13:22, a righteous man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. If there's a couple dollars left over, you know, he signed on the back of an RV, I'm spending my children's inheritance. Well, maybe so. But the joy of just passing on a little bit to bless others is such a neat thing. But in commenting about that, think about giving equitably and appropriately to a family. So what is that wise for that person to have that or not, or how? Don't create bitterness by not being aware of family dynamics. And certainly don't leave your affairs in a total mess for someone else to hassle over. So my question is, do you have a will or wills in your family? Are they done? Are they up to date? Or, oh, I did that about 30 years ago. Is there a durable power of attorney for the health? Because health and finances are separate documents. That if you get disabled and you can't make a decision, is there somebody that has the authority to do that for you? Do you have durable power of attorney for finances? So if you are in a coma or extended blah, blah, and you can't make those decisions, you trust someone who will make good decisions financially. And then a HIPAA health care directive for your last wishes. Let's say You're found unconscious in the kitchen floor. What do you want people to do? Oh, man, give me cherry pie. Well, what do you want the medics to do? Revive me regardless of what? Keep me on life support with tubes for the next 20 years? No. My attitude is, hey, if you can get me come to in the next day or two, good. But, Paul, if you're flatlined, don't leave me hooked up to stuff. But people need to know what your wishes are. Have you set your house in order? Just another couple things and we'll end this lesson. I'm excited about today being the day. Because if today were my last day, I'd want to bless others. Think about projecting a vision of others' potential future. Think about their talents, their ability to lead. In Genesis 49 and verse 8, here's Jacob at the end of his life telling his sons, I'll say casting a vision, projecting the future, really blessing them and telling, here's what your journey is going to have. And I just summarized it here, that you're going to show leadership. And you'll have the messianic line through you. Tell people the blessings and the talents they have and how they could use that. They don't always see it. In 49:16, Dan, from you shall come forth judges for the people. For Gad, you'll be a clan of warriors. For Asher, you will be wealthy. For Naphtali, you're going to have a gift of eloquent speech. And people, they're thinking about that blessing in politics or government, and somebody has that comforting, wise approach. And they'll call it vision casting, is a common term used nowadays. It just means communicating a clear and compelling view of the future that you see for a person or for a church. The goal is to inspire and motivate them because you may see their potential. They haven't thought about it, or they thought about it, they don't have a lot of confidence. Tell them, here's where I see you. I want you to know. You got that. Here's your gift. People say, you see that, man? That's what I see in you. Get excited because today is the day. If today were my last day, I'd want to ask forgiveness. In 1 John 1:9, if we confess our sins, he's faithful and righteous to forgive our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And we quote this all the time, Ecclesiastes 7:20. Indeed, there's not a righteous man on earth who continually does good and never sins. Everybody does. You just going to the Father and say, Father, I fail you regularly and I want to do better. Please forgive me. James 3:2, for we all stumble in many ways. It's the human condition. Psalm 40 and verse 12, David said, my iniquities are more than the hairs of my head. I got 100,000 of them. And God, I'm coming to you and saying, I'm sorry. I want to do better. If today were my last day, I'd want to speak confidently of heaven. 2 Timothy 4:8, Paul said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I've kept the faith. Therefore, there's laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord will bestow on me on that last day. But not on me only, but on all those that have loved his appearing. You know, some people say, well, I hope I get there. I don't know. I'll try. Our attitude ought to be, God, I love you. I fail you, but I want to do better. Forgive me. And I'm ready for any gift you want to bestow. Job, think of his confidence of all that Job went through. 19:25, he says, as for me, I know that my Redeemer lives. And in the last, he'll take his stand on the earth, even after my skin is destroyed. Yet from my flesh, I shall see God. There wasn't any hope so in that declaration. Psalm 23 and verse 6, the end of the shepherd psalm, says, surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life. And I'll dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That's the attitude I want to have on my last day. Man, it has been great being together. And it'll be even greater on the other side. Like Glenn C., Christian guy that I baptized 45 years ago, said every day's a good day, and some days are even better. That's the attitude I would like to have. So, Paul, what are you telling us? Get excited. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And if you've not been baptized into Christ and you want to make that start, the reality is we serve a God that is a loving God. He wants to nurture us. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Live like you were dying. If you would like to respond in any way, won't you let us know by coming forward as we stand and sing this invitation song.